And now for a question you might have never asked yourself before, but desperately need the answer to. How and what did the last German king and emperor eat while traveling? Surely the options must have been quite limited, right? As part of the initial 10-car set of Germany's final royal train, were the kitchen and dining cars completed in 1890. It is all the required equipment and luxuries that made it necessary to have two separate cars, as the ultimate goal was to prepare the meals in the exact same way as it would have been in the Kaiser family's main residence, the Berlin Palace, or the summer residence, the new palace in Potsdam. With just one exception: the baked goods. Despite having two cars, would it not have been practical to include a dedicated bakery? Freshly baked goods were therefore ordered to be delivered to a railway station along the way instead. But only a fairly small storage room for baked goods and other fresh products, the so-called Korbraum, literally the basket room, is available between the dedicated sleeping compartments for the kitchen staff and the actual kitchen itself. The provisions have therefore to be precisely measured up. A menu for the journey would be created ahead by the head chef, from which the exact amounts of everything would be determined. Otherwise, everything was tailored to Kaiser Wilhelm's taste, starting with the standardized copper-brown dishes, to the beverages like champagne by Heidsieg Monopol, sparkling wine by the Gebrüder Höhl and Matthäus Müller, or beer by the Pschorr Brewery. And about Wilhelm's favorite meals writes Maximilian Rapsilber in 1911. Des Kaisers Lieblingsspeisen sind gebundene Suppen, in denen gern viel Reis und auch gleich ein Stück Fleisch hat, Forellen, Seezungen, Rehrücken und Poularden. Dazu trinkt am liebsten leichte Rheinweine. So in other words, soups with meat and plenty of rice, trouts, soles, saddles of venison and poulards, and that combined with the light Rhine wines. And this variety and complexity was not a big challenge. If you look at least in the context of railway kitchens, large area dedicated to preparing food. Starting with the kitchen, complete with stove and oven, heated storage, dishwasher, several cabinets and work areas, as well as a chopping block. The serving room of a similar size, with a washing machine for silverware, a dedicated cleaning machine for knives, an ice chest and coffee mill. And last but certainly not least, the buffet room in the actual dining car. Only then we can enter the 10-meter long dining room, with its long table offering enough space to comfortably seat 22 people, and two corner cabinets for drinking glasses. But despite its generous size, offers the dining room seats for only a fraction of the people traveling with the royal train, as usually only Wilhelm's family and close entourage were invited into the dining room. Everyone else had to eat at small tables in their compartments. As such was the dining room not just used for taking in meals, but served very much as an extension to Wilhelm's saloon, when he studied and signed documents and blueprints, or learned about current events and issues from his officials in that dining room. In a representative function were also special guests, frequently invited to dine with the Kaiser. And if you look closely, you will notice that the long table is actually not a single table. It's rather made up by three smaller ones. And that is very intentional, as a dining room can be divided into three smaller rooms to separate smaller parties from each other. The tables easily pull apart, and heavy curtains are used for the physical separation. And on the outside is a dining room, but only the dining room, equipped with the same removable shutters like the personal rooms of the Kaiser and Kaiserin, not just as protection against excessive heat in summer, but also from prying eyes. Because who wouldn't like to dine to those exceptional standards? For shorter trips, however, especially if Wilhelm traveled without his spouse, was the two-car setup quite excessive, and combined kitchen and dining cars would follow. But that is a whole different story. A big thank you goes to Dave Heise for commissioning the Royal series, as well as to all my other channel members, including Contrian, Dan Manden, Kay Frankley, Lucas Ilskens, MacN1220, Manus Mober, Martin Zotan Wigican, Michael Beck, SGT Scuba, Søren Dominic Cook, Steamy Player and Void Elder for making these videos possible. See you in the next one!